to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. In this video, I'm going to be starting to dive into free agency. I'm going to do positional breakdowns, but I thought I would start with a video talking about New England Patriots free agents and whether or not Joe Judge, Dave Gettleman, and the New York Giants will be interested in potentially bringing them in with the team, being that Joe Judge has shown nothing other than wanting familiarity since he's come on with the New York Giants in terms of his coaching staff. Why would he not want to bring in players that he's seen be successful working in a very similar system coming from New England? Also today we'll have a video up on the potential offensive line coach that the New York Giants will be bringing in for an interview. I'll have an in-depth video about his resume and what I think he could potentially bring to the New York Giants. But yeah, I thought it would only make sense to start my free agency videos off with this one, being that Joe Judge seems to like guys that he's worked with in the past, and I would think it would not be much different with players. And if the New York Giants are going to bring in some guys, I think it's entirely possible that he will bring in some former New England Patriots. Now, of course, the Giants did not have much success with that of a Nate Solder. Nate Solder, the Giants signed to a mega contract, I think in 2018 rather, and has not worked out since he's been here. They made him the highest paid left tackle. But when you look on the list, there's a couple of prominent New England guys that I think could hit the open market. Now, will all these guys become free agents? Probably not. Especially, when you look at the fact that the New England Patriots have $42 million in space, and they probably will not bring back Tom Brady. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But if they don't bring back Tom Brady, that will allow them even more space to retain their players. But the Patriots in the past have not been shy to let players hit the open market. Nate Solder is just one example. There's many others. You go back and look at last year, there was a number of players that, got paid very handsomely that were former New England Patriots that hit the free agency market. And when I looked at the pending free agents for the New England Patriots, I saw a lot of links to that of a Joe Judge, and a lot of guys that I think could fit this defense. The question is, how long is the contract going to be? Because some of these guys are getting up there in age, but they're still performing at a pretty high level. I think on the right contract, some of these players could make a ton of sense, and most of them are on the defensive side of the football. There is one special team standout, and I'm going to talk about all 5 players in this video. So let's jump right into it. The first player I thought I would talk about is the former Detroit Lion, Kyle Van Noy. Van Noy was drafted by the Detroit Lions, I believe, in the second round. I think the Lions traded up to get him, and he was picked 40th overall. Didn't do well with the Lions. Matter of fact, he didn't get much playing time at all, and a lot of people pointed to the fact that it was not a good schematic fit. Well, the Patriots, being the smart organization that they are, looked at Van Noy. They thought that he fit the team very well. They traded for him. They didn't give up much. I think it was a 6th-round pick, and I think they got a 7th-round pick back. So they basically gave up nothing to bring Van Noy in, and he quickly became a starter on the New England Patriots and was a big contributor to their Super Bowl, along with the strong defensive performance from the team this year early on in the season. So wanted to pull up his stats and talk about his age and how he would fit with the New York Giants. He's an outside linebacker. Not a guy that gets a tremendous amount of sacks, but he's a good all-around football player, the type of player that Joe Judge has said he would like, for the New York Giants. So he'll be an interesting prospect. He's going to be 29 next year. He's coming off a career year in which he had 6.5 sacks. He had 3 forced fumbles in 15 games started for the New England Patriots. The year before, 2018, when they won the Super Bowl, he started all 16 games, came up with 92 total tackles and 3.5 sacks. So he's been a pretty good contributor for the New England Patriots. We'll have to wait and see what he commands on the open market and if the New England Patriots decide to stick with the Van Noy. But if they don't, I think he's a guy that the New York Giants could potentially have interest in, being that Joe Judge coached there, being that he does fit their scheme. Patrick Graham coached him as well, so could really be a guy that the New York Giants take a good, hard, strong look at. The next guy I wanted to look at is Jamie Collins. This is, of course, a picture of Jamie Collins when he first started with the New England Patriots. He then went to the Cleveland Browns, got paid, didn't do so well there, came back to the Patriots on a 1-year prove-it contract this year, and he certainly proved it. Now, the thing with Collins, the very good player, he's going to be 31 next year. So, again, a guy I'd be interested in, but on a short-term contract. I might even be willing to pay him a good amount of money as long as it's a 2, maybe a 3-year contract with the ability to cut him after 2 years. But Collins was a very strong player for the Patriots this year as well. Had a great year for New England, and we're going to go over his numbers in a second. But another guy that would fit this scheme, a guy that fits in the Patriots defense, we're going to be running a very similar defense. You're talking about acquiring Patrick Graham, who coached there. You're talking about acquiring Joe Judge, who coached there. Basically, everybody on their coaching staff has coached for the New England Patriots at some point in time. And yeah, Collins may be a guy that the Giants definitely look at depending on the price in free agency. And a guy that the New York Giants certainly could use, a guy with championship experience, a guy that would fit a need for the Giants, a veteran experience there in that linebacking core. He played with Van Noy on the other side of the outside linebacker for the New England Patriots, and you look at his numbers. He came to the New England Patriots at the age of 24. And this year he had a career year. Did pretty well with the Patriots. He made the Pro Bowl in 2015, in which he only started 12 games, came up with an interception, had 5 forced fumbles, which led the league, and 5.5 sacks. Then he got paid with Cleveland in 2016, 2017, 2018, then returned back to the Patriots last year and had a great bounce-back year in which he only made $3 million on a prove-it contract at the age of 30. Well, after the year that Collins had, in which he had 7 sacks, 80 combined tackles, 3 interceptions, which, very impressive there for a linebacker. He was all over the field this year, and he had a really strong year. He had a defensive touchdown, the first of his career. He's not going to want to be getting a 1-year contract. He's going to want to be getting a 2-3-year contract, even at his age of 31, and expect the team to give it to him. Will the Giants be one of those teams? Well, we'll have to wait and see. I've been on record of saying that I want younger free agents. And that is the truth, whether it's a Leonard Williams, whether whoever it may be, if I'm signing them on long-term deals. But if I get a Collins on a 2-year deal, even a 3-year deal, with the ability to not take a cap hit there in the 3rd year, so it's really only a 2-year commitment, this is a guy, much like a Van Noy, I'd be potentially interested in, depending on the price. And I think they're guys that Joe Judge and Patrick Graham will potentially be interested in as well. So those are the big names. The next guy I wanted to go over, McCourty, another huge name. Devin McCourty has been a Pro Bowler in this league. He's been one of the better safeties in the league. Of course, the New York Giants brought in Antoine Bethea last year to play the safety position on a cheap contract for a veteran. I always thought that they brought Bethea in there more for a veteran presence, and they only paid him $2.5 million a year. I expect him to be cut, being that he doesn't carry much. Yes, of course, they have Peppers there in the backfield at the safety position, but other than Peppers, there's not a lot of experience back there. So this could be a guy that the Giants potentially look at as well, depending on the cap hit, depending on how much he's going to cost, depending on the years that he will command. McCourty was one of the highest paid players on the Patriots this past season, and he played very well. Matter of fact, PFF graded him over 80 overall at the position. He's still known as a very good safety, was all over the field for the Patriots, and was a huge reason why they got off to such a great start defensively that they did. The defense was not the problem for New England this year. It was the offense. Tom Brady was not himself. The wide receivers were not very strong, and we're going to get into one wide receiver who's on the open market who Joe Judge may look at. But, McCourty's another guy that the Giants may have some interest in, depending on the length of the contract and depending on how much he thinks he's worth on the open market. Now, he's a very accomplished player. When you look at his numbers, he spent his entire career with New England from the age of 23 all the way up to 32. He will look to get paid this year, though, coming off a very strong year. He's a one-time Pro Bowler in 2016. This year, and the other thing you look at, very durable. He's missed almost no time his entire career. Played all his games in every year except for 2011 where he missed 2. 2013 he missed 1. 2015 he missed 2. And other than that, the last 4 years he's played all 16 games and he's played at a high level. This year he had 5 interceptions, which is tied for the second most in a single season for his career. Was just a very good player. Like I said, PFF graded him very high. You heard nothing but good things about him throughout the year, and a guy that would bring a veteran presence to that secondary. And again, depending on the price, because he's going to be 33 years old, not a guy I'm signing to a 4-year contract. But if I get him on a 2-year deal, maybe you have interest in him there, being with his ties to the Patriots. And he's been a very accomplished safety throughout his career, and it's certainly a position that the Giants are very thin at. We'll have to see what he costs, and if the Patriots keep him, of course, I want to reiterate, the Patriots could keep these guys. They may not keep all of them. They probably won't, but they'll certainly probably keep some of them. So we'll have to see if any of these guys do, in fact, hit the open market. And then I wanted to pull up Philip Dorsett. Philip Dorsett is not that well-known of a player, even though he's a former first-round pick in 2015 of the Indianapolis Colts. He's a wide receiver. He's been a bit of a letdown for a guy that was a first-round pick. Obviously, you expected big things with, for Andrew Luck they were looking for a weapon there in the first round of 2015, and he hasn't lived up to the billing. He went to the Patriots last year, and the reason why I think they could have interest here, I read a couple articles that said Joe Judge had good chemistry with Dorsett, and Dorsett played better when Joe Judge got the responsibility of wide receivers coach. He had 5 touchdowns this year, which I think he only had 6 for his whole career coming into the season, and he played fairly well with the New England Patriots. He's still young. He's going to be 27 years old next year. He is short, so he doesn't fit that mold of a tall wide receiver. He's 5'10". Maybe a guy, again, on a short-term deal, but it could be another guy that the New York Giants certainly look at. And here are his stats over the course of his career. Like I said, he'll be 27 next year. He only made 4 starts last year for the Patriots. He had nearly 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. Coming into that year in his first 4 years, he only had 6 touchdowns for his career. So definitely enjoyed a pretty strong season this year with the New England Patriots in a limited role. So another guy that the Giants could certainly look at. And then the other guy I wanted to quickly point out was Matthew Slater. Slater's been one of the best special teams players in the league. He's been a Pro Bowler, I think, for the last 7 out of the last 8 years. 7 out of the last 8 or 8 out of the last 9 for the Patriots. And, of course, Joe Judge has a special teams background. So Slater's another guy that Joe Judge could certainly look at. And, yeah, those are the guys I wanted to go over. I think all these guys are potential targets for the New York Giants if, indeed, they hit the open market. They're not big-name guys like an Ngakoue, but these are the types of players with a winning pedigree that do fit the scheme we're trying to play and could help some of the younger players progress in their careers. But for me, of course, it's going to come down to the price and the length of the contract. I think all these guys could be worth it on 3-year deals with basically a 2-year opt-out, but I don't want to commit any more than that. We'll see what they get offered on the open market. We'll see if Collins strikes it big. But, all guys that I'm sure the New York Giants will monitor and guys to keep an eye on this offseason. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.